You use a lot of humor a lot of laughter in your presentation, and there appears to be a lot of laughter in you. I have this sense that once the humorous thing is said and the laughter begins, that too is a porthole into presence. Can you speak about that?
The humor arises spontaneously when you look at, really, whenever this humor arises, we are looking at the world of form and see that the normal existence, which is the identification with form, is a form of madness. And when you see it in your own life, the seeing is free. In that moment of freedom from that old conditioned form, there is the spontaneous relaxation, and that produces the laughter. So it's enormously liberating. The more you laugh at the world of form, not in a malicious way, but in a free way, to see the forms do not, they pretend, all the forms pretend that they are deadly serious. The world wants to be taken really, every situation says, I'm so serious. And if you have no inner spaciousness, then indeed every situation is dreadfully serious. And so the absolute seriousness of the world of form disappears when you are rooted in the formless, and that means laughter arises more frequently, even in relatively unlikely situations, and does not mean that you have no empathy or compassion. It's sometimes when I used to see people individually, they would come to me, and usually they begin by telling their story. At that time I just let them, that's okay, tell me the story. And sometimes while they were telling, and sometimes it was a very unhappy story, very unhappy. And sometimes while I was listening, there was a smile on my face, and I don't know how it got there. And sometimes the people who were telling suddenly stopped and said, "What are you smiling about? Are you laughing at me?" No, and then I found it hard to explain. There was a time when I didn't have really many words to explain. So I found it hard to explain why the smile was there, not smiling at anything they said, smiling because I recognized, both within myself and within them, underneath the story, I recognized the dimension in which that story is relatively meaningless. I recognized that underneath the story you are absolutely fine. I recognize the dimension in you where you are was never touched by the unhappy story, who you are. And because I recognized that, the smile came. And so, but quite a few times people got angry because they thought I was smiling at their story or at them. It wasn't taken all that seriously anymore. Just as my own story lost its seriousness. It continued in some way, playing itself out, but it wasn't serious business anymore. It doesn't mean that you don't honor the world of form. It doesn't mean that you have become callous towards things. No, not at all. There is, you still here, as this form identity, you still carry a form also, so you can empathize with the suffering that arises in anyone who is totally identified with form. And yet that is one aspect of compassion, that you know full well what it means to be trapped in form is suffering. And I've been through it, I know the suffering. So there's the empathy on the level of form of suffering, but there's also the recognition of that which is already beyond suffering. In me, in you, it's one. And come the two aspects of compassion. On the one hand, we share being trapped in this form, seemingly. On the other hand, we also share the timeless and formless dimension of existence, where we are already free, and you bring the two together, and that's true compassion. Because true compassion doesn't just mean you weep when the other person weeps, you weep also. You may weep, but underneath the weeping, there's joy. The joy that knows of the formless, that knows that you are in your essence indestructible, not as an abstract idea, but as a feeling realization, so to speak. So humor is a wonderful thing, and I'm sure that Jesus and other teachers had a lot of humor too. All the teachers did, and just the disciples later on said, "Oh, we mustn't put that joke in. That doesn't look serious enough." Beware of any spiritual teacher who is deadly serious, because even the Zen masters who look dreadfully serious, they only look like that. There's an enormous amount of humor inside them that's hidden in all the Zen stories and the way they deal with people. So they just look like that. But if you look into their eyes, or if you see a drawing done by a great artist of a Zen master, you see underneath their so perhaps frightening demeanor, there is a softness also, and there's a gentle smile hidden somewhere there. And then, of course, you have the beautiful image. Traditionally, all Buddha images have a slight smile. This is the Buddha smile, a very slight hint of a smile that comes with knowing yourself, knowing the essence of being. And then you have the images influenced by Taoism in China of the fat Buddha. They're wonderful. There's this man with a huge belly, toothless in many cases, or just one tooth left, and his belly is huge, and he's continuously laughing. And many people have that at home in China and nowadays in the West also, and it's wonderful to see whenever you think you have a problem, just look at him and he go. And he is laughing not at you, he's laughing not because he despises the world or is callous towards human suffering, he's laughing because he's rooted within in the formless. And so it's a wonderful image. You can also practice a laughing meditation. I haven't done that yet. And that frees up a lot of rigid structures inside. But here the laughing happens spontaneously, and it's wonderful. Okay, one there, and then we go there. Okay.